Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field up with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome to another amazing show. Another week has gone down. Baby Friday is upon us. Friday Night's Eve, as I also like to call it. But goddamn, it's almost the weekend. And I can't wait. We got a great show for you today, so let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, this show is brought to you. Obviously, the system is not perfect. Let me just start off by saying that. But, the VA is a great organization that we have. It is available here to us veterans. And I can tell you this from having to travel around the world. No other organization anywhere else, they don't have some of the infrastructure that we have here. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to use it, and you want to use it wisely. If you need help navigating through some of the difficulties of the system, be sure to reach out to us here in the show. I'll be more than glad to connect you. I have, and I've built quite a good network of individuals who are diverse that can help you get maximize your claim, as well as, and I do know some stuff, and I've helped other veterans as well. So don't be afraid to reach out, and for us to be able to help one another out. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, the system is not perfect by no means, but hey, it's the only one we got. So I think collectively between all of us, we can make it just that much better. So, what else do I want to talk about today? Hey, look, we support here at this show. We support freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, the Constitution. I mean, I served in my beloved Corps for 21 years of amazing service, and whether we agree to disagree, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the Constitution is by far, the foundation that allows us to have and share the freedoms that we have as being Americans, or even foreigners that are here. I mean, I'm an immigrant myself. I am an American citizen. I support this great nation of ours, and whether we agree or disagree, sometimes that's okay. And I think no better topic to talk about than talking about the elections and everything that we just went through over the last couple of years, and even this year, just leading up to these events. So I really wanted. I was looking forward to talk about this, because I think it's important to talk about, because at the end, excuse me, at the end of the day, I like to see between all the debates, the news, the ads, the media, it's like kind of like, holy shit, kind of like the obstacle course. I mean, remember doing that when you were in the service? I know in the Marine Corps we used to do the O course. Every once in a while, it seemed fun at the beginning, but when you've gone around that thing for like 3 or 4 times, it's like, holy cow! Can we just call it a day and we're good? I think that's what I like to compare this entire year. It doesn't really matter who you voted for the one side or the other, or you were just kind of in the fence. But at the end of the day, all of us, we survived the elections. The election season, and hey, guess what? Good news. So did democracy. Because at the end of the day, why do I say that? Is because people spoke. Again, doesn't really matter who you voted for. The people spoke, and it survived. So whether you were for President Trump or for Vice President Harris, it doesn't really matter. I'm sure that there were people back in 2020 when those elections happened that weren't too happy about the outcome. Well, here we are today, and we're now, we're now in this area. I mean, Mr. Trump is going to be now our 40. Not only was our he was our 45th president, but now he's going to be our 47th president. Again, as I said, it doesn't really matter who we voted for here. Is that one of the great things is that the people spoke, and I'm sure there were some people in others in different states that were lobbying, and some different laws were put on the ballot. Here in Florida, one of the big things was Proposition 3, which would have made marijuana legal on the for the recreation at the recreational level, not just medicinal. So, like states like California, Colorado, not Texas for sure. I think New York too. Anyways, they have in Nevada. One did I mention Nevada? It's another state where not only can you have it medicinally, but also recreational. Well, it didn't pass here in Florida, which a lot of people. Well, some people I've talked to already, kind of leading to elections. Some were for it, some were against it. You know, I've lived in California where it was both recreational and medicinal. I've been to everybody's gone to Vegas at some point in time or another. And it just that it doesn't really to be honest, I think the misconception tends to be in depending on states is that it's going to ruin the entire all the kids, and that it's going to be this mass pandemic where everybody's going to be a drug addict and such. And I'm just speaking in this aspect in regards to marijuana and the whole thing. But I, from what I've seen and experienced and living in other places in the United States, like California, that hasn't been the case. I think it will generate more revenue for whatever state it will. I mean, marijuana was. I mean, if we go back historically, marijuana was brought in as was classified as that when the paper industry, because hemp is an amazing product. I believe that is the female version or the male version of the cannabis plant. One has THC, the other one doesn't. So. Hemp is an amazing product that you can make paper. It's great for the environment. You can do butter, clothing, rope. I mean, it has a ton of uses, and in that time frame, it would have put out the paper industry. The people that grow trees. So newspapers and the paper industry lobbied against it, and obviously, the other thing. That's how marijuana kind of got roped into that as a Class 8 drug. So hemp and everything else was kind of frowned upon. So. Who knows how the things turn out? But if you tax it and you put what can I say? Get some revenue dividends, draw some revenue and tax it. I think it will be a great thing. Plus, it will lose a lot of the stigma and having to deal with other things, drugs from other countries and so on and so forth. So just something to think about. But anyways, getting back to the whole election. I mean, I know that. It's kind of these elections have been like running a marathon. It's now that we've crossed in. I think a lot of us are like, oh man, God, it's over. We hope that those people that the promises that have been made or the outlook on America, how it's been that and the things that were presented that hey that they stick to it and that we move forward and we achieve those milestones, because at the end of the day, I mean, let's face it, folks. Gasoline being super expensive, in some, here I know here in Florida. I mean, I'm sure other people in states like in California they would love for gas to be $4 or $5. I mean, it's down as $3.50 somewhere around thereabouts. But nonetheless, I mean, in California, it's been so. I'm sure that people would just want to get back to those things, and at the end of the day, hey, we do these things, and hopefully the interest rates will start coming down. The housing market, a pack of eggs won't be $10 like it almost was here in Florida. So, like I said, it's been like kind of like being in the obstacle course. I mean, it's been intense, a little chaotic, but at the end of the day, it is an important thing that we need to do, and I hope that. Everybody that has the chance to vote, that they exercise that right. I can tell you this is that one of the great things that I was super looking forward to when I first uh, became an American citizen back in 1999. My little girl, who's been on the show already, she was I think she was a week or two old when I became an American citizen. It was one of the proudest moments. And right after you raised that right hand, and I was wearing my uniform because all service members get to sit up front, VIP seats, and all that cool stuff. You walk outside. I mean, one of the first things that I did was, go meet with that person. Hey, how would you like to register to vote? And I was super looking forward to that because, although I had been a resident in the United States, because you can join the military if you have a green card, a residence card, you can join and serve. You just can't be an officer. But one of the man, I've always wanted to vote, and I was kind of envious when I was in high school and growing up here in Florida. That when because again, because I was held back a grade because I didn't know English, but I had some classmates that were 18 that had the ability to vote, and I couldn't even participate on that. And I had some, when I was in the Marine Corps, obviously some of my counterparts, they were able to vote, but I wasn't able to partake on that. So, as an American now, I mean, I take great pride in that. It just kind of, and it does no shot because I know that person's probably listening whatsoever. I know a lot of people say, well, I don't know who to vote for, so I'm not, or I don't agree with either one, I'm not going to vote. And God, why would you want to do that? I mean, pick somebody, pick the best choice that you think would do the best for America, and then go from there. Why would you want to deprive yourself out of that? It's beyond me. I mean, again, elections bring up, they have ups and downs. I mean, yeah, but ultimately it strengthens that nation and the nation's democratic fabric. And democracy is not dead, everybody. Like I said, these last couple of years, people say, well, either side, because again, I mean, let's be real. We've had candidates from both, whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat in these last couple of years. I mean, we've had, and people may agree with one, people may not agree with the other, but at the end of the day, democracy worked, right? I mean, I'm just pointing out the obvious. And by the way, the U.S. is not a democracy. We are a republic. We're a republic of these United States, right? Remember that from Abraham Lincoln. So democracy is where it's the fabric of how the United States was founded, in the sense that we all have a voice, we all have a vote. I mean, that's all on our Constitution. So why would you not want to exercise these rights, folks? I mean, that's just beyond me. How do these things? What are some ways that democracy still works? Well, I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, we're still talking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people care enough to show up and be heard. So, that's where, I mean, we had a massive, I think it's been a historic, massive turnout at the polls, both, on both sides. I mean, where else can you, I mean, that's amazing, right? That both candidates encouraged people to go out and exercise their voting rights. I mean, I think that's pretty amazing, right? The vote, I mean, at the end of the day, the voters are the real, MVPs of this whole thing. I mean, voting is, I like to compare voting as a team effort where every single person counts. I mean, the mission was, and it's like a mission where everyone's role matters. In other words, you're going to go. Those of us who deployed, or even not, I'm not even going to say that. I mean, those of us who have been to the field and have been on a training evolution where you got to, whether you're an officer enlisted or whatever. I mean, a warning order, a warno was issued out, a warning order. And then those leaders, whether at the platoon level or even at the company level, they had to go create a 5-paragraph order based on that warning order, and then situation, mission, execution, action, command, and administrative and commanding signal. I mean, all this, remember that whole SMEAC thing? I mean, that all these things are created, and at the end of the day, it's all about the end state, the mission, achieving, getting from point A to point B. And in this case, is going out there to the polls and voting. Counting every voice. I mean, it might be like counting every voice. I like to compare it to. I mean, shit. All of us here have been to SIF, have had a run-in with SIF at some point in time, or supply. For those of us, when I first came in, you had to go to supply. Not just SIF, that one main focal point on base. But I mean, it's like it has to be, and it's like trying to turn in your flag. Well, I don't wear a flag jacket, but remember we had to turn in your vest and everything else, and the person at the other end, nope, hey, go back. You got to go clean it up. You got to go. And return the, and it's like, it's clean. He goes, no, you see that little spot, and I'm like, what spot? It has to be precise. Sometimes it takes longer than expected. People were out voting. I think I'm on the East Coast, so a lot of the polls were in the West Coast were closing earlier, or when co-aligning with times over here. But I stayed up until 11 o'clock at night, trying to see what the results were. Not that I watched. I give up. Not that I give up. I haven't watched real TV in a long time. I just didn't want to deal with it. But I was interested and curious as an American as to, hey, what's the outcome going to be? Okay, and there is no perfect. And the next thing is that there's no perfect outcome. There is progress. So democracy is like about making progress and not perfection. Not everybody is gonna like who the person that won. If we look back at elections back. I've been here since the mid '80s. I came here as a preteen, and when Ronald Reagan was still and when the Gipper was still in office. I'm a huge fan of Ronald Reagan. I think he was one of the, in my opinion. Again, this show is about freedom of speech, and we can agree to disagree. But I think Ronald Reagan was one of the best presidents. And I remember Mr. Reagan, or President Reagan, when I was in Colombia watching him. And even there, he had a huge impact on them. But the point I'm trying to make is that not everybody likes who the guy is. But I tell you this is that I have my own opinions as to or the president that, since I've been here as an American. I have my own opinion about the other president. I can tell you this, that I did not like the people that some of the presidents have been in office. But I tell you this is that one, as a service member, I raised my right hand to defend the Constitution, and that's what against enemies, foreign and domestic. Hey, Scott, I know you're watching the show and listening to right now. I don't want to hear a counseling later on about, hey, how come you didn't still remember that? No, but the point I'm trying to make is that even the president, my commander-in-chief, I will support my commander-in-chief and the officers above me. So I don't want the dude that's sitting in the hot seat to fail. Like I've heard some people in years past, and both. I don't want the guy to fail, because we don't want to look weak against our enemies, foreign and even domestic. We don't want to look like clowns in front of everybody else. So I supported the guy, and I defended, the Constitution against that individual. So we need to come together after the votes. So no matter who won, we're back on the mission, and we need to get our country back on track. That's what we need to do. Again, why would we want the dude on that hot seat to fail? We don't, that's, why would we want that? Why would we wish that? Why would we even want that? This, again, I've heard it from both sides. Like, man, I hope this dude dies. Why would you even want that? That would be such turmoil that it would just weaken our barriers, our frontiers, and our borders. And then that's how we get, people who infiltrate. That's how we get, other things than like 9/11s and other terrorist attacks. Why would we want that, folks? So we need to be looking beyond the election. I mean, we need to be we're on the same team. We're Team USA. Uh, we need to make sure that hey, we all have different opinions, but the real work that starts now. I mean, it doesn't start in January when President Trump is going to raise his right hand again and become our 47th president. I mean, we need to, as service members, we need to that we may disagree, but and on minor details, but we need to be united in our common mission is getting America back on track. Okay, and we can what can we do post this election? We need to keep democracy strong. We need to stay engaged. We need to be informed and united, whether we agree or disagree. And I even not just us service members, but also young people. Oh man, my young people is that please, 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 if because I watch it obviously because I mean I use this platform here. I use Facebook, social media, and all these other platforms as as a way of to communicate with the masses and such. But and I need to do research. Prior to the show, I was doing some research. I was reading. Please, 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 I beg you, do your research. If you're gonna get on camera, if you're gonna get on and use social media, which I highly encourage, but please educate yourself and just read up a little bit. I mean, with information on these computers that we call mobile phones available, man, educate yourself just a little bit on history and sound just a little bit educated when you're talking to somebody about anything and everything. So that way you don't sound like, like that thing that you sit on every day. I'm just saying, it's not a pun. It's just education is the key. So that way if you're disagreeing with somebody, you can give facts, history, and all those great things. So that way, I mean, you can make a point. And if we don't agree, then that's fine. We can agree to disagree. So does that make sense? I mean, I hope I am. I mean, democracy isn't perfect, but it is ours, right? A lot of us have deployed to, I like to say to every time and place. And let me tell you, there's people. I mean, if you don't think democracy doesn't work, talk to somebody from Venezuela. I mean, here in Miami, it's full of fellow I'm not Venezuelan, but I mean they were Colombian at some point in time. I'm just saying, just pointing out the obvious that our flag looks the same. But to be real is that talk to somebody from Venezuela. They'll tell you, or talk to somebody from Cuba that has never had the privilege, now that they're here, but how their country, how it's working out in their country where they don't, the people do not have a voice. So we need to, it's going to be clunky, it's going to be slow sometimes, but at the end of the day, we need to get the job done and make democracy work again. Okay, we've made it through thick and thin. I mean, there are people who on the Democratic side that they don't like 2016 to 2020, but you made it. There were people on the Republican side that from 2020 to 2024 they didn't like that administration. So, but you made it. Woohoo! High fives. Hey, change your regime. Good for you. Fantastic. Hey, but at the end of the day, it's just like military service. It requires, democracy requires being a little bit resilient. Like, oh my God, I can't. Why did I join the Air Force, or why did I join the Marine Corps? I mean, shit. When I was at boot camp, I was like, oh my God, what did I do? You know what I'm saying? But it took resilience, and then as I got used to it, I was like, man, you know what? Okay, I'm good to go. I'm waking up at 05:30. It's all good. I made it through boot camp. I got promoted, PFC, Lance Corporal, and all that good stuff. So it's all about teamwork, right? And constant effort. So you just gotta keep charging ahead. And if you don't like, the current administration, then guess what? The best thing about it is that in 4 years, you're gonna have a voice again, and hopefully you will exercise it. And again, the person that you like might not be picked by the party that you belong to represent them. But so what? I mean, at least, have your party's back. And if you don't like what they say, well, Fantastic. The other great thing is that you can switch, you can switch to the other side and support that individual. Or I know on the ballots there's a blank spot. You could you could put your name on there, um, and vote for yourself. I mean, you can actually do that. Ain't that amazing? Isn't that a great thing that we can do that? I mean, what other place in the world can you do that? I mean, there's no other place. America is not perfect, folks. I mean, it isn't. I mean, show me a country that's perfect, and I tell you what, if if I know there's people here, well, Switzerland, and where all this stuff, medical is free and all that stuff. Again, go back to my previous point that I made earlier, is that go back and do your research and talk to somebody from that over there, and they'll tell you that, hey, it ain't perfect here either, right? So, I hope that, and then and here's my final thought is that election is kind of like it's just one of many chapters in America's story. Everyone, regardless of the vote, you have a role in the next one, right? Like I stated earlier. I mean, we need to be part of democracy. We need to reinforce the message that no matter the outcome, you're still contributing to a legacy, right? I mean, that's at the end of the day, and for and for all the movie stars, everybody's like, oh, I'm moving out. There's a red wave coming, blah blah blah. I mean, look. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're gonna do it, do it. I mean, show, at least stick to your word and go. I mean, again, doesn't matter what side you're in. I mean, either stick around and then be productive, be part of the solution, and in the next 4 years, then hey, vote, use your voice and go out there and, I mean, use your rights and vote. But don't be But don't be, again. There were other presidents. Their points of view didn't align with me, but I still supported the individual. I didn't want him to fail, because if our economy fails, everything else fails. We fail, right? So, at the end of the day, look, now that the votes are counted, let's roll up. We just need to roll up our sleeves and get back to the mission of making the country the best that it can be, right? We need to be that example and lead from the front and not from the rear. Because, folks, I cannot stress this. I just can't stress this, that if this country's infrastructure, economy, democracy, and everything else falls to the wayside, the rest of the world is gonna, because a lot of the stock markets, everything else mimics our country. So again, regardless of where you are, left, right, up, down, all around, it doesn't blue, red, it doesn't really matter. We all need to come together and be a team. Okay? Be a team, because that's what makes America great, is that we're this huge melting pot of people from all kinds of places with different thoughts, opinions, religious backgrounds, and all that stuff. Again, remember, we were formed on these basic beliefs, and so we just need to get together and look strong in the front, whether we disagree sometimes in the back, but in front of everybody else, hey, we're just some bad mother effers that are gonna whip it on if you mess with us. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thoughts on that, folks. So with that being said, before I go, if you've been struggling with the outcomes of the election and any other things, hey, look, that's okay. You can reach out to me. I got some resources for you. Let's reach out to the VA suicide hotline, TRICARE. There's many different things out there that you can benefit from, and just talk to a buddy. And if you have it from a friend, every once in a while, or in a while, reach out to them and say, hey man, how you doing? That's your homework for this weekend. Okay. So, but because at the end of the day, I'm not discounting that, because these elections I know impact a lot of people, but at the end of the day, look, whether we agree, disagree, it doesn't really matter. But suicide is not the answer, and all these other challenges and all that shit going on around the world, it's finding or these challenges in support of veteran suicide. Which, by the way, I completed my challenge, and I did over 3,000 push-ups for the month of October. So, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to bring somebody back, right? I mean, yeah, I raised about $200 for that organization, but it ain't going to bring somebody back. At the end of the day, none amount of money in the world. So, I also want to throw a huge shout out to, holy cow, goddamn, JD Vance, first Marine Vice President. So, get some amazing achievement, Marine. We're all proud of you. We're looking forward to what you're going to bring to the table, make an impact, and just like other service members have been presidents and served for the military. But hey, all eyes are on you, Double Dog. That's all I'm saying is that I look forward for you to making a huge impact as a Marine does for this world, and anybody and any other service member. So hey, don't get it twisted out there, everybody. I'm a huge supporter because we're all, at the end of the day, we're one team, same fight. So with that being said, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to go to my YouTube channel and then check me out on all the other social media platforms. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Instagram. I mean, I'm all over the place. If you want to friend me on Facebook or LinkedIn, hey, it's all right there on the show link bloggers. But hey, help me support my other channels as well. There's over 5,500 people on my Facebook page, so I think you guys can afford one click to go to the other platforms. So with that being said, everybody, I'm out. We're gonna end this. Isamas, dice the key. See you next week. Yacht, hoorah, get some. Bye bye, everybody. Take care.